Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. I am Tara,
I'm Natalie.
and we are making a movie, and this is a podcast about making a movie. Welcome back. Welcome back.
I want a little
Uh,
fanfare there. Can we have a little fanfare? We're making a movie.
dee-dee.
Ba-ba-da-ba.
Like that we used to sound effect on our old YouTube series. It was like a lot of children going, hooray!
Oh,
It's like,
yeah.
I want that. Yeah, remember that?
Yay!
Yay! It was fun. It was fun. Welcome back. We are on episode 10, which is amazing. Today's episode is going to be about development. Before we get rolling, I just want to mention that we got super chats on these YouTube live streams. We got PayPals that you can send us. We're going to use all of the super chats, all of the PayPals, all that money from now until we make the thing. Or it's all going to go to making our movie turns out. So whenever you give us your hard-earned monies, we will take hard-earned monies and make it harder earned monies by making it make a movie, which is hard.
It just made me think of, I'm not like a regular mom. It's like, I'm not like a regular chat. I'm a super chat.
I'm a super chat. I'm a super chat. Okay, so today we're starting in on development. And
Yeah.
what's kind of cool about this is actually going to put us pretty much in real time with where we're at on the movie now. We've been talking about
hmm
writing scripts and stuff that comes before that we've already mostly done, but this is going to put us in real time in real life for the most part. Like we're a little ahead, tiny bit, but we're doing good.
We're gonna
Uh
catch up quick.
and the reason why we're taking a full stop here and talking about this, even though we're kind of already doing it, is we didn't really know what development was. Like we both were
Yeah.
just like, well, isn't that what we literally had the conversation. What is that exactly?
I have to be honest, I up until now, I mean, I've heard the word development,
Yeah.
but I've up until now thought that everything before production was just pre-production.
Mm-hmm.
And so like this technically, I mean, obviously it is pre-production, but this is technically a different space. It's three different spaces and I just
Mm-hmm.
glommed everything in the beginning into pre-production. That's how you know that I am an actor and not a producer.
Well, no, it makes sense too. Like I have friends in development and I don't have any real concept what they do. When they post about their hoorays on Instagram, I'm like, cool. What did you
hmm
do for that? And I just was too self-conscious to ever really
Yeah.
ask, what do you
Yeah,
do?
what exactly is your job?
Yeah.
It's like
So
people who
we're
say
gonna
that they're in acquisitions and acquirements or whatever,
yeah.
and I'm like, "Eh, have fun."
Which is cool. I'm glad that you get six figures. Excellent. I don't know what that is. So we're going to actually really dive into what development is. This kind of whole next section of our podcast is going to be all about the different phases and stuff of this. So before we really get going on it, though, we thought, why not define development exactly? Literally, what is development? And I had to write this down. Development is the initial phase where a film project is conceived, story fleshed out, screenplay written. This also involves securing the rights, finding financing, packaging, and pitching. It's all of these weird, kind of
hmm
glommy, amorphousy things. And I think we discovered, go ahead.
Oh, go for it.
Oh, I think we kind of discovered, and I don't mean to step on ourselves later on in this podcast, but that development kind of ends when you get money. Once you get money,
Well,
you can
that was
actually
my
start
card.
going. Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I thought. I was like, I think I'm going to step ahead on you, and I don't mean to. You take it from here.
No, well, what I was gonna say as part of your thing is that
Hmm.
it's very muddy.
Yeah.
Development is different for every project. There's no like clean outline because um, and we'll get into this later, this episode's going to be very muddy as well. It's because
Yes.
it depends on how the project comes to be. So, like, are we a big studio who is acquiring a script? Are we a small filmmaker who's writing, directing, and doing all the things to get on their own? But yeah, so basically everything that happens before you've got the money, you've secured the funds, and you start signing contracts, and is all basically development. So once you have the monies, and the monies can be still acquired in pre-production. That's where it gets muddy. But basically, up until the point where you're signing those contracts and people are starting to purchase set deck and stuff like that,
Yeah.
and people are spending the money,
Yeah.
you are still in development. Once that money is
Right.
secured
Yeah.
and you can start actually hiring people with not just, oh, we're signed on, then
Right.
now you've
Yeah.
moved into pre-production. So
Yeah.
everything that
Wh-
happens when it's still just a brainchild that may or may not get made, like,
mhm.
I will feel better when we move into pre-production. I understand pre-production. I do not understand development.
Yeah, I'm gonna feel stressed out until we're in pre-production. And yeah, and like acquiring the money, like from my memory from past projects, is like not just some of the money, all the money. Because you can get some of the money and still not, you could still fall flat in the middle of some money places because
Yeah.
that money can be given right back. And that does
hmm
happen. So until you got all monies, and you're right, you're buying like set deck or something,
I was like,
you're not
I
there
think as
yet.
soon as you're signing contracts and paying people, you're in
Yeah.
pre-production. So,
Yeah.
and this is what I find interesting. So producers often, I remember when the writer's strike was happening recently, there was a whole thing about producers and how they often end up not getting paid for their work because a lot of their work is done in pre-production. And
Mm-hmm.
while they're trying to acquire money and they're trying to, and then something falls through, it doesn't get greenlit, it doesn't, we'll talk about later. And they end up, that time is not paid for at all. Um, and that happens a lot in the middle ground of production. So like obviously in the in the lower tier of you've got monies production wise, like those people don't get paid. So,
Right.
but then there's that middle ground where there's big promises of pay once the project starts, like you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get paid. But up until then, all that work you're kind of doing for free. And if it doesn't end
Right.
up happening, now the big boys, you probably get hired to produce this thing
Mm-hmm.
in development. You get to develop,
Yeah.
you get paid to develop it.
Right. And
So,
again, that's money. It may depend on what kind of producer you
hmm
are. Like, are you the go find it producer or are you
yeah.
the associate producer who comes on later? Like, it just kind of depends.
hmm
I think like the parallel you're drawing here too, like the difference between like the big boys and the little guys, like a lot of us indie filmmakers, we don't get paid for a lot of the work we do, particularly
Yeah.
like anything leading up to the pre-production phase. Like all the like for you and I, like we're probably not gonna ever take a paycheck for the writing part of this. Like
No.
it's just not gonna happen. We may not even pay ourselves to act it. It just kind of depends. Like it's just
I
all
I do think it's funny, like in the indie phase, the person who does the most works
yeah.
is plurals on the
Hmm.
works. Probably they end up not getting paid the absolute
Paid the
least. So I
leases.
mean,
Yeah.
even if you end up paying yourself to act, which you probably won't, but it's normally because it's your project. So the
Right.
writer, director, producer, like, doesn't end up paying themselves, but they may when
Hmm.
they get bigger, like we'll say for social anxiety, they're all of the bigger team did it out of labor of love, calling
Oh yeah.
card, this is our thing. And yet we did pay cast and crew.
Hmm.
So but none of us, including Jason, and like
Yeah.
we all took a big cut to
Yeah.
work
And I
on a
think that's
project.
oh right. And I think that's why like for the big boys, the producers who don't get paid on the front end, that's why they take such a big cut on the backside or like the
hmm
residual not residuals, but the back end stuff. That's why they take such a big cut, is because they already did the work way ahead of time. So they're banking on this working out. You and I, people like us, we're banking on this being a great calling card and we're gonna use this to leverage our career. So our payment to ourselves is that taking it to film
It's a
festivals moving
Yeah, it's an
forward. Yeah.
investment in your career. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, speaking of like the parallels, we in the research part of this, a lot of the stuff that we read was very, this is what studios do, which isn't exactly helpful for
Yeah.
us.
Well, it was giving Yeah, it was giving you definitions to someone who's just trying to learn about the filmmaking industry.
Right.
But that is not how the scrappy dappy world works, you know.
So we're gonna talk about this like in terms of like the real guys or the big boys, the studios, and then we're gonna talk about the scrappy dappy from what we've learned and understand and the parallels that we're the bridges we're making to help ourselves make this movie ourselves. Like, oh, this means that this is the part where we
Mhm.
do this.
Well, and I want to, before we dive into that,
Oh,
I
go.
just personal preference, I would prefer we just call them the big boys and not the real guys. Because
Okay,
I do
thank
feel
you.
like
Sorry.
we are, no, 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 I know you didn't, you caught yourself immediately, but
Don't mean it that
I
way.
want to
Yeah.
put that out there that
Yeah.
like, I like calling them the big boys
Big
because
boys.
you know, because it's also a little like, there's self-deprecation, but also making fun of them. Oh, you're the big
A little
boys,
tongue in
you know,
cheek. Oh, the big
like,
boys? Yeah,
oh, it's
little
adorable.
tongue in cheek.
But also, you know, you're definitely, just because you're not getting paid doesn't make you not a real filmmaker. It just
Right.
means you have
No.
to go about it. It's a little bit harder sometimes.
No, thank you for the clarity. Just because you do not get paid the big dollars does not mean that you are not an artist or a filmmaker. So
Hmm.
never let anyone tell you that. So, anyways, in our research, one of the starts of the development phase is the idea. Uh, the studio binder seems to think that all movies come from the producer wanting an idea made and hiring a writer and then making it happen. Like,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
I
I would
found
be
this book.
curious. Yeah, I would be curious as to like what percentage now of the big boy movies that might be true. Like they're, you know,
Yes.
they're sitting in a house, they've got, you know, they've got money that they're
Hmm.
looking to put into their next film. And so they're
Right.
going to these, I mean, there are convention things where people go and just pitch to producers
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
you know, so they seem to think that there is a human that has monies, that
Hmm.
has access to monies, or has a task, has been tasked to go find films. And so, or the script finds them. So it really just negates the writer. However, the other one is just finding a writer to write the script. Is this
Right.
producer's like, oh, here's this idea that came to me. I like this idea. I've only got
Yeah.
this much of it. You know what? Hey, excuse me, Mr. Kubrick, would you write a script and film a thing for me? Like, and it does
Hmm.
happen. Like
Right. It does.
that that
It
does
does.
happen,
Yeah.
but
Well, and one of the
not in
things
the
that
indie world.
oh no, not you know one of the things that a buddy and I that are talking about, he works for over at CAA, and he was saying that like what they're really hot on right now is it having a previous existence, an IP is what they call it. So like
Hmm.
they're looking for
Yeah.
anything that exists, even no matter how small. So like a book, a
Hmm.
zine, a comic book, and they're even advising people to go, I like your script idea. Why don't you go write the book and then come back and then we'll turn it into a movie. Like they're going, it's getting weird as far
Hmm.
as like
Yeah.
that that
The spaghetti
resting.
structure of how it gets
Right.
to like
Resting
all
on
of the.
this way of doing things where you take an idea and then once you know it works, then hiring a writer to come in and write the script instead of like, oh,
Yeah.
this is a great script to begin with, which is just unusual.
Yeah.
That's not the world that you and I live in. That's not what
No.
we do. No, we
No.
scrappy.
Yeah.
For yeah,
I think in the
for
indie world, it's much more likely that a writer came up, or, right, and often I think it's a writer director. I think that's
uh-huh.
the majority
Yes.
of what's happening. Is
Yeah.
more and more though, I will say that it's actors who wrote for themselves, which is
Also.
us. You know,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
we're seeing that more and more. But it is a writer director tandem, and directors are not even going and finding scripts. They're basically it's friends who write
Yeah.
together, excuse me, friends who write together, and now they have a script,
Hmm.
and now they're now that that's phase one. Whereas like it was going out and hiring someone to write this thing and blah, blah, blah.
Right.
No, it was labor of love. You wrote a script, and
Yeah.
now your friend is a director and you want to get it made.
Which is I mean, like, is if I'm yes, of course, it'd be so awesome to be involved with the studios and the big boys, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, genuinely, like, I appreciate this version of things more,
Hmm.
the indie way of like, this is the script. It makes me feel like the 1970s when film was having this new grungy indie heyday and people were writing
Yeah.
the story and like, the Rockies of the world were starting to happen. I love that. I like we create this unique script and we scrappy filmmakers, us
Hmm.
artists are gonna make it happen.
Well, and I
Um,
think from there, it's even, I mean, so a lot of times it's just pitching it to your friends, but
yeah.
sometimes it is pitching it to someone who, like a production company, even a
Hmm.
small production company, you still need to go through that first initial phase. I think, but
Yeah.
mostly I think it comes from script is the first part,
Yeah.
and then it's find the team that's going to make it versus
Hmm.
the opposite of the team goes, let's find a script. I just don't think that
Yeah.
happens as much in the indie world.
No, no, not nearly as much.
Mm-mm.
And again, thank you to Studio Binder. I don't know why we haven't reached out to Studio Binder to fund sponsor this podcast, but Studio Binder said this great thing that you found. The screenplay is always the starting point on top of which everything else is built. A script with proper screenplay formatting will inform everything from the dialogue and costumes to the budget and the schedule. And that is
I think that's
like,
huge. I've just recently done a couple independent things with people who don't quite, I mean, it's their first thing, so they don't really understand script formatting. And while when Tara and I film in our backyard, there's not, it's on a piece of paper. It's, but because I've done it and we've done it enough that we understand how to break it down. But there's a lot of things that get missed out. And there's a lot of programs that are trained to find locations and they can, so your script, it's got your scene headings, and those all
mhm,
give locations. And there are programs, Tara will know this better, that you can plug your appropriately structured script into it, and it will take all your screen headings or scene headings, and it will move them into like this is all your locations that are shot in
mhm,
this location, which is a good reason to make sure you're naming your locations right. So then it automatically says, well, you have X amount of pages in this location, you have X amount of pages in this location. And if your script is formatted right, X amount of pages equals X amount of time. We will get into all of that
oh
later
gosh,
when we
yeah.
get into the script breakdown. But it is very important, especially when you're trying to pitch your script to someone or someone's reading it, they can look at it and know, like they can get an idea of how many locations they're going to need. They can get an
Mhm,
idea of how much this is going to cost if it's formatted right. If it's
right.
formatted wrong, you can hand them a 100-page script that they go, I have no idea how long this is. I have no
Mhm,
idea how many pages, because your dialogue is stretched out on the page instead of being in the right formatting. It can be, it's very,
yeah.
very important, very
Yeah.
technical, but very important.
Yeah, it may seem like the mundane, and there is a certain level of like, don't stress about it too much because you're going to do another shooting script that's going to be for the first AD, and that one's going to have different details. But your first draft, like we even for Imaginary Friends, which was one of our very first shorts that we ever did, our director passed the script off to a producer friend of his, and she did a pass through with these programs and was able to sit down and go, this is how much the budget would be if you were doing this the traditional way of like spending all the monies and hiring all the people. She was able, from all of our screen headings, from all of our shots, from all the things, go, it roughly would cost you this much money
Mm-hmm.
because of these programs. So formatting, not only because it makes you look like you're professional and you know how the world works, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It also is very important because it's going to help you in this early phase figure out, well, how much money do I need? And then once we have that, like you and I did with the Imaginary Friends, we got that big budget and we go, that's great. We think we can do it for this. But now we know what those parts and
Right.
pieces look like. And we were able to
Mm-hmm.
figure out from there, like, who can we get to work in kind? What
Yeah.
else? What other ways can we film this? Where can we cut back? Because now we know.
Mm-hmm. And you might find out, oh, I have one page on one location. I don't need that. I can cut that scene, or I can figure out how to put
Hmm.
it in one of the locations I'm using.
Oh,
But I'm
yeah.
going to touch on something that you just said. When you were talking about like the formatting of the script and getting people to pay attention to it and look professional, if you're trying to get people to attach to your script, which is part of the next portion of
Hmm.
the of development, it's your package, and part of that is getting people attached to your script. Um, if you want to get the director, if you want to get an actor, and you send them something that is not formatted right and they know what they're doing, they may not even audition. They may like pass it off because it's a big indicator that this is going to be a sloppy production. So if
Hmm.
you took the time to get your script formatted right, then you are more likely to get professional people to pay attention and to want to be part of your project. But it's not, I mean, I've worked on ones that, the script was not formatted right, but I kind of came in knowing what I was getting into, like this is going to
Hmm.
be scrappy. And I like scrappy though, but not all actors do. Not all
Yeah.
directors do. Not all, it's not, some people need more structure, and you will lose those people right off for something that
Hmm.
is not easy to do. It's time consuming, but worthwhile.
Yeah. Well, as an actor, like there was a window of time where I was just very, very busy. and I was looking for the easy no, because I just didn't have time to
Hmm.
spend on all these different things. I didn't necessarily have time to do a self-tape audition for you if this wasn't going to be a project that was going to be managed well. And so there was a couple of scripts that I was like, you know what, I'm going to pass because the formatting was bad and the writing was not great. But also the
Right.
formatting, I was like, I just got a bad feeling that you guys this shoot isn't going to go well, and I don't have time for shoots that aren't going to go well right now. Now I have more time. I might be like, yeah, whatever, let's make some stuff happen.
Well,
But
but so on that same, like, for me, I hate auditioning. I hate doing it. I will talk myself out of any audition. So if you give me one reason that to go, it's probably going to be an unprofessional, like I need one extra reason to go, like, no, I'm busy. I'm too busy. Yeah.
yeah, right.
So
Yeah.
anyway, and there's easy programs out there between Final Draft and
Yeah.
Celtics and things like, there's
Yeah.
free versions to write your screenplay that will help you do that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you touched on this packaging. Packaging is like a whole other thing, and there isn't much packaging for us, but for us, we figured out what that means in our world.
Yeah, packaging, it's the deck. I mean, as far as I can tell. So like, this is you putting as a on the big boys, you're putting together a package that is now going to go to try to get the next phase, to get financing. Each of these just moves to the next phase.
Hmm.
So you put your package together, and that will be, I mean, it's attaching a director, attaching a name talent often. It's like, oh, I've got you've got the concept for a Barbie movie. So the next thing you need is you need to get a writer and a star on, attached to it. Now, I think that probably went the other direction, but let's just say that this
Hmm.
is how it went. It was like, ooh, what if we made a Barbie movie? And Mattel is like got their little evil grubby little fingers going, Sorry, I don't have any problem with Mattel. I
No,
just
I
thought it was
love
funny.
that. It was just fun.
Yeah,
It's
ooh,
just that
we
was
could
just
take
fun.
over the
Ooh,
world.
ooh,
Ooh.
ooh. Anyways.
So they go and they're like, well, what if we got Margot Robbie to play, and so Margot
Hmm.
Robbie's like, I would love to play Barbie. But I, let me know when you have a script, and then Gershwin was like, is that her name, right? Gina
Close. Yeah, it's Gersh.
Is it Gina? I'll just go with Gina. We're on a first name
Let's
basis then.
let's yeah, we're all friends here.
There's the lady who wrote it. Okay, this is
Yes.
how much I pay attention to the back end of film. Uh, anyway, so they're like, she's like, well, she decides to write this. I'll write the script if Margot will do it, and Margot's like, I'll do it if so and so will do it, and then this is how this whole thing happens,
Yeah.
and you end up with this big package. Now, for us, for us, it's always different. You kind of like already start with part of your pieces, and now you're going to build your team, and you have to make a deck. And we'll talk about deck kind of next in this process. But this is going to be a lookbook kind of thing. It's going to go to potential people who will green light the film. It's kind of that's what's next, is getting the finances together. For us, it's going and showing them this deck, and because you're probably not going to get them to read the script, so you
Mm-mm.
show them the deck, and they're like, "Here's the storyline. Here's the da da da. Here's the actors we have, and like, actually, I think they gloss over that because you never know who the actors are. Like on ours, it's like, look, Natalie and Tara are going to be in this movie, and they're
Right.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
you
Whatever.
couldn't get
Page
Margot
turn.
Robbie. Um, and then, but you do show it with like, I think their IMDb credits, and you get,
Hmm.
your directors on board, and you get them. But this is all part of your package that is now going to go to potential investors, and that's the next part of development, is to take this and go and get the monies.
Yeah.
And that looks different for the big boys than it does the little guys too.
Oh yeah, the
Like,
financing, man. The big boys, they got all kinds of complex webby things. They got like pre-sales, which is where you can like sell it to theaters ahead of time on the grounds that you're going to make this great movie. Like, oh, we know who's going to be in it. We'll pre-sell it, and that will give you some of the funding you need.
mhm.
Slate financing. Two words separately, I understand, but put them together, I have no idea what that means.
I don't know what
Uh,
that means.
you getting investors for like a bunch of different films. So you're like, we're gonna make 5 movies, and this is super old school. We're gonna make 5 movies.
Oh
So
yeah.
invest in all of them, and then you allocate the funds accordingly. And they're just that's like hedging your bets that one of these is gonna make back all the money
Mm.
you put in. So 5 films is better than one film. And then they do like loans and stuff like just this. They have access to monies that, you know, for us, it's like, oh, a loan? Let me just dig myself into that hole. No, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
No, and
indies, oh,
yeah.
go ahead.
No, go for it. Go for
Um,
it.
so for indies, and this may sound more familiar to you, our friends out there. For indies, we do things like crowdfunding, and you've often spoken about crowdfunding. Like, yes, crowdfunding is a lot of work. It's a pain in the butt, and no one likes to go to their friends and family and ask for money. However, they can be incredibly successful. They're a wonderful marketing piece for yourself because it's the first time that your grassroots audience is going to get familiar with. And yet it's a lot of work, but genuinely, if you're trying to raise anything over 5 grand, it's gonna be a lot of work. Like, think about how much
Yeah.
time you spend at a day job working for the money. So, like, either go to a day job and earn that 40 grand that way, or ask your friend, spend 1 month asking your friends for funds to crowdfund for that. I think it's for amount of time spent to the potential you have to put toward your money. I think it's actually a wonderful investment of your time. Even it, no one likes doing it, but I think it works.
Yeah, I know. It's and now I will caveat that because I mean
Go ahead.
I've done one successful
Hmm.
crowdfunding campaign. I but at the same time, and yet yes, it was we did it for Imaginary Friends. It was a ton of work,
Oh
and
yeah.
but we did it. And
Hmm.
but I have seen other ones that I'm like, there's no way that you're gonna get there, baby. I'm sorry. Like,
Oh
be
yeah.
realistic about what you can do, because I've
Hmm.
seen people, and don't ask for more than you need. Like, that's the thing, is so there is when you get your script and you start to get a, and maybe we'll do something about crowdfunding. I don't
Maybe,
know. We
yeah. I was
might
just thinking we
when we get
might do
down to
like a,
finances.
yeah.
But like, I've seen people who shoot themselves in the foot because they're asking for the big budget. I mean, that we had two different. Like we said with Imaginary Friends, there was the you could. This is how much if you had the monies you would do it for, and this is the least you can do it for. Now,
Hmm.
I'm not saying go for the least, and I'm saying don't try to go for the most. Like, if I look at your crowdfunding and it says that you need $50,000, and I know what this project is going to for your short film, I'm probably not contributing. Like,
Right.
because one, you're not going to get there. But two, like, why do you need $50,000 for your short film? Like, figure it out. Do it for 20. And
Hmm.
if I think you're going to be wasting my money. Like, I'm looking for a good investment, even though, and often to help my friends. Actually, sometimes I'm more likely to contribute to your 50,000 one because I know you're never going to get there. So I know that I'm getting that money back. No,
Yeah, I get the
but
social
I just
cred.
think be realistic.
Yeah.
Be realistic and be responsible with people's money. Don't just go, it's other people's money. I can do it. Sure, we can have a honey wagon. Is that what they're
Goodness.
called?
Yeah,
Is that what they're
that's right.
called? Okay.
Also, honey wagons are also the RVs, the dressing room RVs. Those are honey wagons. But yes, yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, you don't need that.
Hmm.
Don't ask for that from people. Now, if you have stretch goals are different. That's another thing that people do on crowdfunding. If we get this much money, we can also do this. We can hire this. Anyway, that's a whole nother deep dive.
That's a
So that's
whole.
one.
I
Yeah,
definitely
we
think we
might
should
do a
touch in on that.
crowdfunding one.
Now that
Yeah.
we might be doing a crowdfunding, and I do think now that you've been saying all this, like you and I do have a wealth of information that we may take a portion of a future episode and talk about crowdfunding
Yeah.
because it's a whole thing.
Um, so then there are, besides crowdfunding,
Yes.
there's other, you can get investors, you
Yeah.
can get, there are grants, and this is for both. I mean, the big boys take advantage of this. We just don't ever have to hear about it. Like, there
Yeah.
are grants and tax incentives in states that actually lean towards the big boys. Like, we're looking into it
Yeah.
right now to go film in different states, like who offers the best tax incentives, because we're
Hmm.
looking at, I'm just going to say it. We're looking at $100,000 budget is
Right.
what, like, the to make a movie, to make a feature length film. That's what we're currently, now we're still working on our budget. That's a very preliminary, how many pages, how many days, how many locations, that's the average. How many people do you think you need to pay? How many people do you need to feed? So we're looking at that. That might
Hmm.
go down considerably. That might go up a little bit. It can't
Yeah.
go up much higher because there's no way. But
Yeah.
so let's just say we're doing $100,000. Let's just put that number out there.
Hmm.
If that's the case, there are like 3 states that offer tax grants
Right.
that kick in at that phase. Most of them don't kick in until $500,000. So, like, Yes, they will offer incentives to film in your state. You always hear about filming incentives. Yes, they offer some incentives to film in state, but they don't start until $500,000. So you're still only trying to get which I understand why you're doing it. You're trying to get
Hmm.
work into your state.
Oh,
You're not supporting the
absolutely.
arts. Don't
Yeah.
act like that's what it is. You're trying
No.
to bring businesses into your state. I'm totally on board. Fantastic. Bring
Yeah.
more big companies in here that pay me. However, like it has nothing to do with supporting the arts and the people trying the artists trying to make things out there.
Yeah.
So I think we found there's some as low as 50,000. Actually, there's one, I don't remember who it is, has no like Oklahoma. Oklahoma has like no minimum, I think.
Oh,
And
really?
then
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
And then there are other things like you have to have like Utah specifically, I think it was 80% of your cast and crew has to be local,
Hmm.
which when you're if you're only at a 20-person cast and crew, it means you get to bring two people in. If you're and that's what we were running into. Our director, our um producer, Tara are all out of state already. That's
Yep.
three people. So in order to get to enough people that we would have to do at least a 25-person cast and crew, which does that raise the budget too much that now it's not worth anyway?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
each person has to be fed, and that fed number, it's a fun matrix to play with. The feeding
yeah.
people versus having them there, like, is it really worth it? Now I'm feeding you
Uh-huh.
for 10 days or whatever. I've done that math
Uh-huh.
before. Yeah, there's also, I just want to touch on like self-funding.
Yeah,
Self-funding
I was
is
gonna say that's the next
absolutely
big
a
one.
way to go. You and I have 100% self-funded. One of the things that I've heard repeated to me over and over again in my research and over the years is like, self-funding's great, but be very careful with self-funding. Like, don't dig yourself into a huge amount of credit card debt in order to make your film, especially like a short film, because the likelihood of you being able to pay yourself back quickly is very
Yeah.
low. And that just, it gets risky. Figure out any other way to make it happen before you pull that trigger. You will hear success stories of people who max out their credit cards to make their indie feature film, and that indie feature film goes on into distribution and makes tons of money, blah blah blah. That is a thing, but that is a Cinderella story, and that is a very high risk, and so I take that
So
very seriously.
yeah. So when it
Yeah.
comes to, not, yeah, yeah. I mean, so when it comes to features versus short films,
Hmm.
what you're looking in the financing is when you're trying to get investors, and we are going to be trying to find investors. I don't know why that was a hard word to say. Um, but people are looking for ROI, which in the film industry, we just don't even know what that word means. That's one of those, it's like a term that as a filmmaker, I know less about than probably the audience that doesn't do film. Return
Right.
on investment. There is no return on investment
Yeah.
in short films.
Hmm. No,
So,
there's
people
just
always
not.
ask like, so when you're trying to get investors for short films, that's not an investor. That is someone who
Yeah.
wanted to help
It
you.
just wants
That's
to. Yeah.
that's that's not a
Yeah.
loan.
Yeah. Well, and
But when you get
even
into
even in the feature
in the
film, it
crowd,
is a little bit, yeah, it is a little bit of a crapshoot, and that's something
oh,
that you
it's
do.
definitely.
Yeah, you do just have to be very honest when you're seeking investors. Like, films are not a
Hmm.
great investment. They're just not. And the likelihood of this not going well is high.
Yeah,
However, you get to put your name on, like, your investment also means you get to put your name on a film and say you were a producer for a film. And for some people, some investors, that's enough. They're like, I want that. I want
yeah,
to look that important. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's so yeah, feature films, indie feature films,
Yeah.
feature film. I mean, like the big boy feature films often do not make their money back.
Right.
And we'll get into it when we get into financing and stuff. There's, the first in, first out type of thing. Like it's like
Hmm.
you paid this amount of money, you're the first one to get paid back and such
Yeah.
and
The
such. But
waterfall, all that stuff.
yeah, but like just short films when you're trying to find investors or trying to find money, the reason they often go through crowdfunding is because there's no way to pay people back.
Hmm.
So, and you're not going to pay back your pocketbook on that one. Even though you self fund, like
Yep.
every short film Tara and I have done, except for Imaginary Friends, and even some of Imaginary Friends, is
Hmm.
a
Yeah.
hit. It's just a hit, but I mean, it's an
Yeah.
investment in your
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
Hmm.
You and I
Yeah.
actively made the choice that we are going to invest in our careers, and we're going to put this money in, and we know that we'll never see it again. And this is just hoping to keep the momentum going and put
Someday I'll
into
get a
our
big paycheck and I'll be like,
yeah.
that was for imaginary
That
friends.
yeah, exactly. When you get that big paycheck for like a really big
Yeah,
job, you'll know that that was imaginary friends paying you
that
back
was
because
imaginary friends.
it's never the one thing you do. It's all the
Mm-mm.
things you do that equal the end game that you're at.
Mm-hmm.
So, speaking of, where are we at? So,
Oh,
where are
you know what?
we at?
I wanna
Oh,
touch on this a little bit because we talked about
oh, sure.
getting green light.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's when that part happens for the big boys is when you get the money. You get the okay
Hmm.
and you get the money and then you get greenlit and that's like you're making it. Like
Yeah.
often there are plenty of projects and this we were talking about with the producers who don't get paid is that they never get greenlit and they just
Hmm.
get they sit in limbo for the rest of their existence or they get put on hold. Like this happens for writers where they can't option things. Someone has the rights to your script now and it's in limbo. They still, I mean, it happens in all sorts of arts careers. Like Tara did a commercial one time and then they
Haha.
didn't air it.
Ha
And then
ha
they
ha.
put her, she wasn't allowed to
On
they were
hold.
paying you,
Yeah,
they
they were
paid you to
paying
go on
me.
hold. I
They put
mean,
me on hold, which means that they're paying me incrementally every quarter for I think like a year and a half, something like that. This
so
is
that
way
she
back in the
couldn't do
day.
another
Yeah, but
commercial
I
with that
wasn't allowed to
product.
do yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so I couldn't do
so,
anything with any other product even similar or near. I had to stay
mm-hmm.
far away from all those things.
Yeah. And so like there is this purgatory that things projects can get stuck in that they've already done the package, they've already got the script, they've got the people attached, and then they just don't get the money. Or the company, the production company goes, yeah, we're not willing to take that gamble and put all that money into it. And so, and then sometimes they do later on get made. There's a bunch of success stories that things went into purgatory and then did eventually get made. It just
Hmm.
needed to wait a few years, or they needed
Yeah.
one piece of the package to move. And what happens then, in while it's in that purgatory, is that people drop off. So it's like, yes, Margot Robbie said she would do um, Barbie, but then 4 years passes and Margot Robbie is no longer the hot shit in town, and now they want so and so. Like, look, Margot
Right.
Robbie is going to be able to play Barbie until she's like
Oh my
85.
God,
So
she's gorgeous.
I
Yeah,
want a Barbie sequel in 85 when she's 85. That's what I
right.
want.
Oh
Is
yeah, yeah, that'd be great. That'd be amazing. Yeah. Well, just in scheduling starts to happen. Like you signed on to do this project and now you're already
mm-hmm,
booked on another project. Contractually, you were agreeing to do this other project. So now you can no longer do the project you agreed to
mm-hmm,
do 5 years ago. So they have to go find somebody else. Uh, a lot of times though, like you'll hear these stories about like it languished in development hell. And then it all finally comes to fruition and it's the very best thing that could ever have happened. Plan C wound up being the great thing because this certain actor got the role and
mm-hmm.
killed it, and maybe Margot Robbie wouldn't have killed it, though I don't think there's anything that woman can't do,
I
so
know.
I
Let's
retract that.
if she wants to play my part in this movie, she can.
She can have Margot, give us a call. You let us know.
Let
We'll
us know
find
if you
someone
want
else
to
to play
be.
me as well because you'll need someone else for this role. So anyways, yes, so the green light process, we are green lighting ourselves, just no money yet. We're definitely doing this. Like the difference in our world is that come hell, and for you and I think it's very different as well. Come hell or high water, you and I are going to make this movie somehow. Like you and I wrote this in a way, and I was explaining this to somebody at a film festival recently. Like no matter what, we wrote this in a way that we could take it on ourselves entirely if we had to,
Yeah.
from beginning to end. We
Hmm.
could build a bunker if we had to. That's originally how we conceived it and created it, for the reason
Hmm.
that we want to greenlight ourselves and be able to
And we could put
make
a
this no
camera in
matter
the
what.
corner and film it all
We will
ourselves. If we,
figure
it
it
would
out.
not be as good. It
No,
would not be as good, but
it is already a better project for
it would be awesome.
the 8 years we've spent working on it. It's already a better project than the original project that we conceived.
Hmm.
But we're greenlanding ourselves. Like, so I think in the world of that, for us indie filmmakers who are just trying to get momentum, don't wait for someone to say yes to you. Figure out how to do things for yourself. And even if that's like, I'm going to shelve this project and make something similar, I make a smaller version of it or
Yeah.
whatever. You and I made Imaginary Friends once before and realized we didn't have the skill set to really make it. We made a web series version of it.
Hmm.
It was not that great, and we realized we lacked the ability and the skill and the technique to make that movie the way we want, that web series at the time the way we wanted, and
Hmm.
we shelved it and worked on other things. came back to it. And I'm glad we did, because 7 years later, it was a great short film. So,
Yeah.
yeah, say yes. My aside here is just say yes to yourself and figure out how to make it happen. Don't wait for people to greenlight you. Greenlight yourself. And that's my
Yeah, I want
PSA.
that on a shirt.
Greenlight yourself. Oh, that's our first merch. Greenlight yourself. All right. So all of that to say, we have greenlit ourselves. We're figuring it out. And where we're at now that we have a better grasp on what development is, and we can say we're in the development phase. And I actually really want to get us an IMDb credit once we've locked in on this title that says in development, because I think we can get away with it at this point.
Oh
Yeah, because
yeah. I didn't
we've
even
done
think about that.
enough. Our production company has done enough stuff on IMDb that I think we could get the credit to go through.
Mhm.
Sometimes IMDb won't trust you because they're like,
Yeah.
well, is that really going to happen? So,
Yeah.
where we're at, a big part of our film, because there's only three real locations, we're trying to figure out the locations, what house, what bunker, what under the house location we're filming at, because for us that is going to determine a large portion of the budget. Like,
Yeah.
are we going to get that free? Are we going to pay for it? Kind of a thing. We are building our budget. Our amazing producer, Allison, is in there doing budgets and numbers, and she's built out our budget, and we're messing with that. And I think once we kind of get a more of a lock in on this location, we'll be able to really go, okay, our number is
Mhm.
$100,000, and here's where all 100,000 of those dollars are going, which is
Yeah.
pretty
And
important.
then and then we can start reaching out to investors, and
Mm-hmm.
we've got we've got some sponsorship things we think we can do with with because it's such a unique topic, I guess. There are
Yeah.
very specific, survivalist things that we think maybe we
Mm-hmm.
can get people on board with
Right.
that. We're not, when we talked about crowdfunding, I think that there may be some crowdfunding involved.
Some.
I don't
Mm-hmm.
think it will be, I don't think it will be all of it. We're not going to try to raise $100,000 on
No.
GoFundMe. Like that's
No.
not, no, but I mean, even right now, this very moment, we're crowdfunding. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Like,
Like this very
yeah,
moment. Thank you guys so much. We will
yeah,
circle
the
back
super
on that.
chats and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there are always other ways to help
Yes.
that. And yes, I do think we
Hmm.
should do an entire thing on crowdfunding, because I
I
think
do.
even talking about um, the way we did social anxiety, we crowdfunded quite a bit.
Yeah.
Even though we didn't
Yeah.
do a traditional crowdfunding, there are alternative methods.
Yeah.
So yeah, then we're going to start reaching out to investors.
Hmm.
In order to do that, we got to finish this deck up, which it's in its final stages, and then we got to get the budget finalized and kind of it's really once that domino falls, and once we
Yeah.
get the figure out what location it is, then it's like
Hmm.
off to the races.
Right.
And then once you get that money, now we're going to pre-production, and then that
Now we're
goes
going.
like that for
Yeah.
us.
Well, and also in the meantime, something that we're doing, we've been utilizing all of the short films that we've made. We have one currently going to festivals. You and I both are actors, and we're using that
Hmm.
opportunity to we're going to film festivals, not to like network in this schmoozy way, but like keeping our minds and eyes open for opportunities. Like at this last film festival we were at, I wound up talking to the mayor about like how film friendly is your town, and how
Hmm.
could we make that happen, and not necessarily for this current project we're working on, but another project or two that we've got loaded up in the chamber that are also on the move. So like that, going to these film festivals is an opportunity, and talk to the locals. Don't just talk to the filmmakers. Talk to your locals. Make friends with the locals, because you never know where those relationships can help you make your next movie.
Yeah, I mean, so locations are always hard, and getting locations for a price point that is reasonable is always hard. But the other part is if you're going to go and travel someplace to film, putting up your cast and crew is not, I mean, you can only cast so much from a town that you don't live in. You can only,
Mm-hmm.
so by making friends with locals, when we filmed Obit in Dubuque, part of the reason we could do that was because locals were doing letting us stay in their houses.
Mm-hmm.
Like I crashed at Ruth's house like
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
entire I mean, like, and so donated their house, and I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't my side of it. I didn't produce any of that. I
Right.
just showed up and read some lines.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't read
But
them.
it
I
being you
memorized most of
helped.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, but it being you helped because you and I have already built up a relationship with the Julian Dubuque
Yes.
International Film Festival. We have a relationship with the volunteers and stuff. And then Ben, who was your director, had gone to the festival previously and made
Hmm.
relationships with everybody, that the locals and the volunteers. And he's just a gregarious, lovely guy,
Yeah.
anyways. And everyone loved him. So when stuff started happening and he needed some help getting it made, he was
Hmm.
brave and reached out to these contacts they had. And because they built these great relationships already, the yes was so easy. And even
Right.
the production designer and producer, Allie,
Hallie.
yeah, she's with the festival and killed it, by
Hmm.
the way, also.
Oh
Such a good
yeah,
job on
she
that
did a great
project.
job.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, no, and so one of the things we're doing right now is with this location hunting. It's not just like, oh, we need these locations, and we actually made a document that is locations wants versus needs, and it's like
Hmm.
if and part of that is so if we change it from originally written for Los Angeles, if we change it from Los Angeles to New Mexico, what does that
Yeah.
change in like
Hmm.
the script? So there's certain ones you can't, like we can't change it to Utah, like it
Right.
can't because of the
Right.
script.
Yeah.
We so
Yeah.
there's like it needs to be X amount of miles from a big city. It needs to be X amount of miles from this. We need at least 2 rooms, but we would be great if we had data, like so we have this whole document so that we can start looking at locations.
Hmm.
And but part of that is we're looking at where our family lives. So can we film in Alabama where Allison's family's from?
Right.
Can we film in Texas where we know we have
Yeah. Me.
a deep connection with? Can we film in Dubuque where we know we have a deep
Yeah.
community connection?
Yes.
Um, so like all these things, it's like that's where we're at is like this puzzle piece of, and once you find,
Mhm.
I think like once you find like two of the locations and you're like, okay, we'll figure out how to make the rest work. You
Right.
know,
Exactly.
where can we stay? I haven't asked my mom yet, but I'm going to get her to bring in her
Oh.
trailer, her RV, so we
Oh,
can
that's
use it as a
right.
trailer.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Mom,
So
bring in
I
the
do want to,
RV and we can use that.
I yeah, I do want to mention one aside for Obit and film festivals and that the like for Obit. I just want to throw massive kudos to Obit. I spoke with the festival director and we were talking about Obit and I thanked her for making such a good movie, making it happen. And we were talking about the festival, and she's like, it had to get in on its own merit because for Julian Dubuque, they have a separate judging system that has nothing to do with the locals, nothing to do with the film festival director. So that film legitimately got into that film festival based on its own merit. And I just want to take a side and say congratulations to Obit because it earned that place in that film festival. It had nothing to do
Hmm.
with it being so locally connected and involved. So just
It
want to
was
throw that out
it
there.
was scary to watch as someone attached to the film, like having not
Yeah.
seen it and going into this festival because I was, is it here? Does it deserve to be here? And
Yeah.
then, but it did 100%. I think it was a very,
100%.
very
Yeah.
good film. You guys
Yeah.
want to see
And
my
they,
poster?
yeah,
You
too.
guys
Yeah.
can't
I
see
think
this on the other side. In the podcast world, this is the reason to tune in, is because you can't see this amazing poster
I
of
will post it
Obit.
on the Instagram for sure.
Oh,
I'll
now
post
you'll get
that
to
up.
see it.
Yeah. So congrats on to Obit for getting itself made because of relationships with the film festival, but then getting into the film festival completely on its own merit with nothing to do with the possible biases that might be there. So anyways,
Yeah.
fantastic. So we're at the point now where a big part of us is figuring out where we're going to film it. The where is a big part. And once we figure out the where, that's going to be the very first big domino that needs to fall so that we can start figuring out all the rest of the stuff and start really reaching out to potential financing and stuff like that, which is all very exciting, but a hurry up and a wait.
I want to yeah, I want to say like there's something to be said of like writing for the space, having a
Hmm.
place in mind for what you're writing for. However, we did that. We were going to film in my house in Los Angeles. This was all written for my house
For a
in Los
specific
Angeles.
house.
So when you lose that location,
Yeah.
now things are very specific to that location,
Yeah.
and you may not have written a crawl space under the house.
Mm-mm.
Like so yeah, just
Yeah.
so maybe
Cool. Yeah.
be a little
Just
bit more generic if you can.
yeah, like somewhere in the middle ground of this is generic enough, but also I have this thing.
Yeah, why does the
Yeah.
house have a sunroom? Does it need to have a sunroom? No, we can write the sunroom out. Like him
Oops.
that
Yeah. Yeah, right for your assets, but not too much.
Yeah,
So,
don't
all
pigeonhole
right.
yourself into it.
You're right. Okay, I think we've covered the development portion, like a very good first pass at like what this world looks
What
like.
is it?
What is it? We literally kept asking ourselves that. So I think this brings us to my favorite portion of the show, which means I get to lean back just for a second and take a breath. This is our Abby Singer shot. Love it.
Hmm.
Abby Singer's Natalie goes out and does some research and comes and brings us new terms that we need to learn. So we're just continuing the education in a very intense way.
It's funny because I've been doing these in alphabetical order, and green light was going to be would have synced up perfectly, but I already knew we were going to have to
Perfectly.
define green
Yeah.
light while we were going, so I had to move on. Uh, and I've got in-camera editing. So I've heard people talk about this. In-camera editing, it's filming in the precise order needed for the final product. So it eliminates a lot of the post-production of the editing.
Oh.
Now, this is considered very amateur, and
Okay.
student filmmakers and stuff like that do this. However, I think you can use it to a degree. So
Hmm.
if you're going to be filming, I think you could, I think people don't understand when you're making a film like that time is so much all the money is time. So when you're
Yeah.
filming things, you film them so far out of order
Right.
because you have this location, so you're going to film everything that takes place in this location right now. But if you had the option, I think filming as much in order as possible. Now, you're not in camera editing, that's not what they mean. In camera editing, they definitely mean like you cut here, you turn and you film that person talking, and you turn and you film that person talking, and you're doing all of your editing in real time, which for you and I, Tara, I think we might try to do that later on. Like I am like,
Yeah.
it's it says Studio Biner actually uses the words amateur like
That
when
would be
talking
us
about it.
sometimes.
And however, I'm like, that sounds easier.
Yeah,
So
that sounds like something I want to
I
try.
know. Let's try that on our next sketch. We'll try to
I'm not scared of
in
the word
camera
amateur.
edit.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
I like that. I like that. Very fun.
Anyway.
Okay, I want to take a moment and thank our incredible super chats today. You guys went nuts. Shannon West 2 times over. Thank you so much. You
Yes,
guys are
thank you. Thank you
so
guys.
funny. David Faith, thank you, thank you. And Ben Rathick, thank you. Guys, thank you so much. All of these funds are going to go directly into the account that will help us make turns out. So like you super chatters are our first bit of contribution. If you want to help fund, but not right in this second, PayPal. We have a PayPal set up. Please feel free to use that as well. And
Mhm.
you will still get your thank yous live on the air. We will absolutely stop and say the PayPalers
Mhm.
as well. So thank you guys. You're our
Absolutely.
favorites. You not our favorites,
Thank
but
you.
you guys doing that helps us make this happen.
You know what it did? It was 4 steps closer.
Stuffy, you're
They
so
each said
good. I
one
was
step.
talking.
One
Yeah,
step.
I know. I know. 4 steps
Four
closer.
steps closer.
Well done. Okay, next week, as of right now, and this could change as we do a little bit more research on development, we're going to be diving into decks. That's what we're literally working on right now. We're creating our first round of decks. So next week's episode is going to be talking about decks. So if you are trying to build a deck, want to learn what a deck is, all that good stuff, join us because we are in step now, the learning process. You will
Right.
hear
If you've been
us.
listening to this and said, wait, what is a deck? As every
Oh,
time we go,
yes.
you build a deck and you're like, what the heck are they talking about? No, we
Yeah.
don't need to make a patio outside. We
No, I
will
do need a
explain what a
patio,
deck
but that's
is.
not the point. Yeah, we're going to explain. And the deck is essentially all those parts and pieces put into a slideshow, but it's way more complicated than that. But the simple
Yeah.
watered down version, it's a slideshow. Um, all right. And then also, if you are listening to this podcast, but you didn't subscribe to it, pourquoi? Please subscribe to the podcast. It helps us so, so much. We're trying to get some steam rolling on this sucker and get this podcast doing things while we're trying to also make a movie. So do that. And if you are watching us on YouTube in the playback or live and haven't subscribed to the podcast, we got a podcast version. So you don't have to watch our faces. You can like watch the dishes and listen to us talk to you about filmmaking. So check us out. Podcasting where every podcast is available. We do the thing. All right, guys. Successful development conversation, I would say. Yes.
Yes. Agreed.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. We will see you guys next week. Usual time, usual thing. Thank you so much. The credit cookie, the credit
We
cookie.
did it.
We
It
did
was a
it.
question mark
Another
whether or not
one.
this was gonna.
I still get
I
nervous
I don't know.
sometimes when we start because I don't want to sound
Yeah.
stupid.
Well, I also came into this one like we are guys, we are
Oh,
running on
we are
fumes.
rough.
And yeah, and I came into this one with a like, I don't know. I woke up way later than I was supposed to this morning. Like, so there was a
Yeah.
lot of like, I don't know if my brain's gonna be on by the time we start this, but I think it went well. Good job.
Yeah, we're
Kudos.
both, yeah, good show. We're both like exhausted and worn out because last week going to film festivals is one of our greatest joys. We love it, especially the Julian Dubuque Film Festival. Love, love, love it. But also we come back, we just use up every ounce of our beings and persons to do the thing and talk and hang out and how we have so much fun. God, you and I danced so much. We are
Mm-hmm.
tired now. We come home and like you normally
Yeah.
don't talk to me for 3 days after a film festival. Like
I didn't
normally,
have that option.
no, you did not have that option. Usually you and I like you go into hibernation and I'm like, and I think that just makes me go into hibernation too. I'm like, great, no chit chatting for a bit, like no talking, no energy. So, but yeah, you and I both rolled back into town,
Yeah.
right back into work. You're going to another film festival this weekend.
I'm
Yeah,
going to
which
Kanab Film Festival tomorrow.
did they sell out yet?
Did they sell out yet?
Yeah,
Did you
I
say?
know, like a limited space. Yeah.
I think they had like two tickets left, like
Wow,
two
that's
VIP
cool.
tickets left.
Oh, very
Yeah,
cool.
they
Very
have. I
cool.
mean, it's a big theater. It's a big old-fashioned theater. It's phenomenal. Maybe I'll
Hmm.
get some pictures of just that theater itself.
Yeah.
Um, they do a really cool setup, but they but that means it's limited seating. You
Yeah.
know, it's one screen running all
Hmm.
day all 3 days. So so it's very boutiquey. Like it's
I love
fewer
it. It
people,
sounds
fewer,
so cool.
but it's phenomenal. Opening night, they always have an opening night party. Last year, I mean, this is my second year going to this one.
Hmm.
Last year, they had the whole thing was murder mystery themed, and they had a 20s theme. And so we all dressed up. And this year, they're not doing the murder mystery thing. They made a whole production last year. Last year,
Yeah.
they had each night, they had a little bit more, there were clues. And like by the end of it, you were trying to figure out who
Cute.
did it. And they had like a little scripted
Yeah.
thing, and someone would come up there. It was fantastic. They decided that was a little bit more than they could chew and that they're scaling back a little bit, and I don't blame them. Instead, the
Hmm.
opening night party is pop art themed. So
Oh,
like,
that's right.
yeah, and like I got a big blue wig.
If
Get some
if
big
you remember,
foam
oh my
blue
God. If
wig.
you remember and if you have time, it's so hard to remember to take photos. Like, and you are way better about living in the moment of life. I'd stop and take photos a lot just out of sheer habit now from doing the show for so long.
Hmm.
But if you remember, I'm not trying to pimp you out. If it doesn't work out, it's okay. Take pictures. I want to see your costume.
The thing is, I most of the time actually end up taking pictures. I just don't like them enough. Like I
Oh,
almost
okay.
always remember to at least take a selfie.
Okay.
But then I'm
That
like
works.
I hate this picture of me, and then it doesn't go
Yeah.
anywhere. So that is
Yeah.
that. I mean, I've got from every one of these festivals, there's a selfie on the red carpet, at least one.
Mhm.
Like I just don't ever like them of me, and so I don't ever post them. So,
I'm the
but this
opposite.
one,
I'm
and they
so
have a
bad about, oh,
yeah.
God. I'm so bad about taking
No,
a
so there is a
selfie. Like
professional
this last
photographer
trip.
there as well.
There
So,
you go. Perfect. Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so bad about the selfie taking. Like this whole last festival, I was like looking for pictures to post on my like personal account of like, yay, this is my experience. And like, oh, I didn't take any pictures of myself. Everything is like of a glass, a building, not helpful, not helpful at all. Lots of you. Like
Yeah.
my Google memories is like, here's 8 memories about Natalie. It's hilarious. Like it wants to tell me about the Museum of Ice Cream a lot right now. I don't know
Yeah.
why. It's hilarious.
Mine, I never have any pictures of the events. So I do live in
Hmm.
the moment. I'm not a,
You're
I
very
don't
good at
take
it.
pictures of
Yeah.
things going, things happening. I will try to grab a selfie from things, but
Yeah.
I will never hand the camera to someone else. And everybody's always like, can I get it? Do you want me to take a picture? I'm like, absolutely not. Like
No.
a bad selfie is better than a mediocre picture from someone else.
Yeah.
Like you get away with a lot. There's a lot more forgiveness of how bad your face looks when you're doing this. But if someone takes that picture and you're doing this and you look stupid,
Uh-huh. Oh, I agree. Yeah.
nay,
If you ever see people like
nay.
posing up to do a selfie like a bunch of people, oh, do you want to take the picture? Most of the time they're gonna say no. I always say no. No, no,
No.
I got it. Because I
No,
like
no, no,
how
I
I'm
got it.
setting my
Yeah.
face right now, and I don't think that's gonna happen if I give you
Exactly.
this camera. Like my
No, I
face,
need to be
I
able to
got,
see it.
yeah, I just got my face looking good. No, 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 no. We got it. We got it. David asked, how was Opit?
It was good. I thought it was really good.
Yeah,
I was scared of it. I was scared of it.
I know.
I
I
was
know.
terrified.
I'm
But
as one of the brains behind the initial inception of the film, and then like I definitely like I was a part of the idea and I was a part of the first script, and then I definitely took a step back. Like I am so happy with how it turned out. Like it's so good and so touching. I can't get through it without crying. Like it's just
yeah.
fantastic. You all did such a good job. I was thanking Susan. I was like, thank you so much for helping make this little idea that came into our heads, make it happen. Like it meant so much to me to see something that I came up with up on the big screen and done so beautifully and so well. And your performance was fantastic. Like it's
Thank
everything
you.
that I imagined, like that version of the character, because there was two different versions of the character, but that
Yeah.
version of the character, you did such a good job embodying it and like living that person. Like it was beautiful. I loved it.
I don't know. Like I got this there, it's this. So I was telling, I've told a couple people this, but like there's this very interesting, I hate watching myself act, and sometimes I love things I do, but for the most part I can just pick it apart the entire time.
Yeah.
So there the embodiment of that, like the biggest, so I keep hitting this mic, the like
Yeah, me
the
too.
culmination of that thing of like being able to pick yourself apart but also liking what you do. There's a part
Hmm.
in this film where I'm literally on screen talking to myself, and it cuts back and forth to me talking to me, and there's slight variations of character there. Like it is, one of them is what you perceive yourself to be, and one of them is yourself, and I was watching this and I'm like, that Natalie can act and that Natalie can't act. And not as bad as can't act, but like I was not happy with my performance over here, and it's the same thing. Like,
I
and
know,
so
I
like
get it.
this little things of like, I hate the way that one holds her face. And I'm like, and it was actually, I think, a good experience for me in maybe not being so hard on myself, because
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
obviously the same person, obviously
Yeah.
the same day, obviously
Yeah.
the same, like I filmed it on the same day, same, like I just, they're making the same choices. Like
Hmm.
it's not like I became a
Yeah.
better actor within a half hour or whatever.
Right.
It was just that like I will pick, and so I could pick apart that Natalie, but I was disassociating from that Natalie a little bit. Like
Hmm.
the other Natalie, I was able to go, I felt bad for her. Like I'm doing such a good job acting that I feel bad for that person. Like I don't know. It was such a weird experience to watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, I totally
I will
understand.
make
Like,
fun of the way I hold my face through the whole
oh
thing.
my God, your face dysmorphia was hilarious. She's like, she saw it the first time, and the first time's always the hardest. Like, I will delay watching. Any director who's ever directed me knows that I will delay watching that first edit for weeks before I'll finally sit down and watch.
Yeah.
I just can't. But no, you in the hotel room later were like reenacting the movie for me with the face. You're
The
like, what
entire
is that
movie is just
face?
me going
Doing
like
this face.
this.
What is that face? What is this face? I was like, that is not what you look like ever in this movie. I was like, you have
Like
face dysmorphia. You have face dysmorphia.
I always just imagine what the SNL impersonation of me is. Like if I
Yeah.
were doing an SNL parody of that movie, they would just be with big
Mm,
glasses.
mm. Oh my God. Speaking of, there's some gentleman out there who's done an SNL kind of take on It Ends With Us, and he does Blake
Mhm.
Lively, and he nails Blake Lively's like
Oh
acting
yeah.
face. She does this really specific thing with her lip, and I'm like, oh God, what things like that would you pick apart about my
Oh
face
yeah.
that like it's so easy to laugh at Blake Lively, but what about my performance would have a similar? I'm
Yeah.
sure there's many. I'm sure there's many. Oh no.
There, oh no, there
Uh,
definitely are. And we all have our mannerisms that
yeah,
100% are mimicable. And
yeah.
especially it's a caricature. What is your caricature of me? And mine would be, "Ugh."
In that movie. No, I totally get it. I watched a very early edit of May I Put You on Hold, which is another short film Natalie and I are both in. And my acting in the very first scene and the last scene of that movie is the first thing that I have acted in on camera in a very long time. I am rusty. And if acting on in a table read and acting in a on a camera is very different things. And I was like, I'm bad. I mean, like that's some rough,
Hmm.
very amateur sounding acting. I was like, oh my God. And then I got back the most recent edit and I was like, oh, they fixed me. They fixed my acting. I messaged them all back. I was like, thank you so much for making my acting better.
Well,
It was
so I mean,
hilarious. So I totally
I
get it.
didn't see early. I wasn't there. I didn't get to see early edits. I don't know what you're
Yeah.
talking about with the bad. I've only
Oh, yeah,
seen this
yeah.
edit with
Thank
like,
God.
you. What do you mean you're bad acting? But
Yeah.
like, I wonder if you could watch the early edit and that edit and figure out what it is that you
I'm
don't
just gonna
like
say
that you
that.
can then improve upon. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
is it a like? There's one part in this where I was like, oh, I'm just waiting for the camera and then I start and I'm
Uh-huh.
like, I wish you could have edited when the way that part's filmed, you obviously can't, but I'm like, what am I doing in that very moment? Like, no,
Yeah.
like, don't just like, I don't know, figure out something to do with yourself that's movement instead of waiting for your turn to talk in that,
Right.
like,
Yeah.
the way
Yeah.
they timed it was not quite what was happening in my head,
Right. When I
in the
could
moment
just
of. But so
yeah,
like
for
maybe you
me
could watch
like
it and go, it's
oh
something
right.
that's happening before you start talking,
Maybe.
like,
Yeah, I was watching
I
I
don't know.
just and like for me it's a very generic and this is very not helpful or amorphous to anybody but me. Like I could tell I'm not really there. Like not that my mind and my brain, which
Oh
also
yeah.
happens, but like I'm not really living in a real moment. I'm acting. Like it just I can see me acting instead of
Yeah.
like most of the time, for the most part, and this is what I enjoy about acting is that I'm pretty good at like really being a real person living in that moment, which is why I'm a way better film actor
Hmm.
than a stage actor. Like I'm very good at being a real person with a real emotional response and really listening to you and really being there and really being there. And anytime I'm not really there, I can see it on camera immediately. I look
Hmm.
like I'm acting.
Yeah.
So and that's what it is like I hadn't really used that skill in a long time. I've only used it in my head to
Well,
have fake arguments with people.
uh, yeah, but honestly, hold on though. But that's a
Mhm.
totally different thing. You were acting by yourself as well. Like,
Yeah,
that
it's
is,
true.
you're acting against a
It's
phone
harder.
call, which is not the
Yeah,
same
it's
as reacting. So
harder.
that's a
True.
whole different skill set. Like
Yeah.
that, definitely you probably 100% rusty on, because when do you get to use when that's not something you do often. The beginning of
Hmm.
May I Put You on Hold, she's on a phone. She's talking to
I'm on a
someone on the
phone
phone. And
talking to
that
nobody.
and yeah, you're so like that's a whole different kind of acting. And you watch
True.
people fuck that up all the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, no,
Yeah. It was, but
so
it was definitely that. It was
that's so
definitely
much
like,
harder.
yeah, there's definitely no one else on the other end of that phone that was up against my face. Like, like you can, and it's because I can see me. I know me. I know what I
Mhm.
sound like when I'm not really there. Um,
Yeah.
Oh my God. David just asked me, has Gizzy welcomed you back with cat toys? And the answer is yes.
Aw.
She does that thing where she meows from the other room at me. Like, no matter what
Mhm.
room I'm in, when I've come back
Yeah.
from a trip, Gizmo will holler from the other room. And I've gone into the room to see what's wrong, and nothing's wrong. She's fine. And then I'll be in bed. This is how we always do this pattern. I'll go to bed finally, and she'll do the hollering thing, and I'll go, come here. No, come here. I'm not coming to you. We'll have a whole conversation.
Mhm.
And then the muffled sound of, she's trying to do it with her mouth full of something because she's bringing me Mouser, which is her favorite little mouse toy, to drop. So
Yeah.
I woke up and she drags Mouser around. She knows I'm talking about her. She's looking at me like I'm crazy. Um, she drags that mouse around. Like I love when I find Mouser in weird places because I know she did that because I never touched that toy. But I woke up
Yeah.
and found Mouser on the floor at the foot of the bed. It's like, oh, she
Mhm.
brought Mouser, and I kicked it off the
Aw.
bed. I
Aw.
know. There was one time she tried to pack Mouser. She tried to put it in my suitcase. It was really cute. It was like, oh, kitty, honey.
I
Yeah.
just I just saw this video last night. It's a I think it's a bulldog, not a bulldog. Anyway, it's not a medium-sized dog. And this woman is like yelling at him, and I can't remember what his name is, but all the comments are you sure that's his name? Because he's not responding. But she's like, let's just say it's Lewis. Lewis,
Yeah.
put that down, put that down. And she comes over, and Lewis has a mouse in his mouth that he has killed and is now trying to
Oh.
eat, like, but not
Oh.
like, not, yeah, not like, but like, this dog could have like swallowed that thing whole, is kind of toying with it. So the woman
Mm.
who's yelling at him is now trying not to vomit. So through the entire thing, she's like, "Look, put
Oh my
Louis.
gosh.
She's like,
Oh
and
my God,
Louis,
it's
and so
so funny.
she runs away. She's back in her house. She's like, this woman has no idea what she's filming the whole thing, and you just see her POV as she's running around trying to get her husband to come help, and she's like, he's got like, I don't know what to do,
Oh,
and she's like
well,
at her door screaming, Louis, come here, Louis, stop it, and he's just not listening. It is like the
oh,
it's so awful and so funny at the same time, and I
oh,
can just
that's
picture like
funny.
you've said the thing with it in the mouse, and you get
Yeah.
she gets close enough that you can kind of see it at one point down, like a little too. It's not too. It's a little
Oh
graphic, but
no. Oh no, that's funny. So
oh my
funny.
gosh,
All right. We had before we go, we probably should go pretty soon, but we had a very successful Julian Dubuque
we
International Film
did.
Festival experience. It was a lot of fun. I think the
Hmm.
interviews went so well. Those are all up there on our Instagram if you want to go check those out. We had a blast. We partied, we danced. There, sure, sure, sure.
Our
My legs are
costumes
sore.
were amazing. Oh
We
really?
killed it.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, we
yeah.
killed it in the costume department. There was a glow party, and we dressed up for that, and it was
Hmm.
so much fun. So I'm like, as tired as I am, I'm also like, last night I was like, that was amazing. We did such
Yeah,
a good job.
we killed
We
it.
filmed festival successfully, and like it just makes me feel so good about what we're doing. That like, okay, we've got this momentum as people like doing
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Well, and
It-
I think beyond like going to the festival and killing it, we also, for the first time, I think we're like kind to ourselves and let ourselves sleep in one day. And
yeah. Yeah.
we, we somehow,
We
I
slept
think we've
in
got it
once.
down to a science now, guys.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're getting there. Yeah, so it was great, and I have so much gratitude for the film festivals, like, and all on
Hmm.
Ben, who's a part of the film festival, like, just so much gratitude for all of that because it
Yeah.
for a weekend I get to go away and I feel a little famous and like it's just I
Oh,
feel
right.
more. I spend 30 plus hours a week at a bar, cleaning a bar and serving drinks, and so like when I go away to these film festivals, I get to spend a small slice of my time where like this becomes my life for a little bit. I'm like, oh, this is the window into the life that I dream of, like where this is
I'm a
my job
filmmaker.
to go. Yeah,
W-
and
What
it
was it?
means so
There
much to
was
me.
years ago, I came back from some film festival. I don't remember. It might have been Dubuque. It
Hmm.
might have been Gig Harbor. I don't know. But the next day was at the bar cutting lemons, and I think I won. I think it was the year that we went to Dubuque, and Joining Call won. And so we were
Okay.
off this other kind of high, like,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and I'm at the bar cutting lemons and just had this realization. I was like, nothing brings you back to reality than cutting lemons for people's
Right.
drinks, like,
Hmm.
I was like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that was last night.
Oh,
I
this is
was
my cup of the
working.
week.
Oh, cup of the week. I almost forgot. Very important. I like
I
you lifted
almost
it
I
up
almost didn't
earlier
do
and I
it.
loved it. Yeah,
I almost didn't do it.
cup
I
of
was
the week.
like, because I didn't make candles the last 2 weeks, so I don't have like a candle. I had to go find a cup, but
Is
this
that
one
that
would
one's gonna
never
be a
be a
candle?
real cup. It definitely,
Oh,
because
definitely.
it's not big enough, and
Hmm.
it's a whatever, but it's cute.
It's cute. There was a cup. There was a mug. I want to say it was Target. It's Target in their like dollar section, which is now the $5 section. They had a mug that I almost got because it was very clever. It's a fish, and the tail is the handle, and I was like trying to use it, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah. Oh
it's so cute
yeah.
looking, but this is not practical. I was
Mm-mm.
like, and I'm like at this point where like I want mugs that like are in fun shapes because I have so many mugs with things on them. So this is the new like I
Oh
can't take
yeah.
it home unless it's a good shape. Like there's rules now because I have so many mugs. Yeah, and I was like but it would make a great candle because it's
David,
adorable. It's got a little fishtail.
David asked if we have tried their maple syrup. So David sent us each care packages. One of the things in mine was a uh, a little marker, which we have talked about, a marker for pumpkins, little grave,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
also giant bottles of maple syrup in them. And yes, David, the minute I got it, I opened it and tried it. Like it was the immediate of like sticking a finger in there. Like it's
Oh, I
delicious.
squirreled
I
it.
haven't
Oh,
gotten
I
to
like
do anything with it.
yeah. I've hoarded it. I'm like, oh my God, special maple syrup. I've hoarded it. But the snack, I got a couple snacks. The snacks are
Hmm.
almost gone. Like
Yeah,
the
no.
candy bars the Arrow bar, gone.
Yeah, I haven't been in
Ate it.
town. I went to a
So
festival
boo.
and then went to this festival and now I'm going to another festival. But
Yeah.
I keep saying, Justin, we need to do something with this. We need to make, and
Yeah.
we're not a big breakfast household. I mean,
Hmm.
I'll
I
do
love breakfast,
protein for
but
breakfast, but I don't do,
yeah.
I try to to avoid carving for breakfast, but
Yeah.
um I want to figure out how to like I want to figure out like a dessert type recipe that I can we'll do breakfast
Ooh.
for dessert. I mean,
Mm.
breakfast for
Yum.
dinner
I'm
type of
into it.
thing.
I know
Yeah,
what you meant.
yeah.
I'm into it. I'm super into it. I love that. Yeah. And I haven't put together my
Hmm.
Lego set yet, David, but I will. And when I do, I will take photos and post them on Instagram. Faux show. No, it's a camera. It's so cool. It's a camera Lego set. Like
Oh
it's
yeah.
two in our world. I know. Yeah. It's really cool. All right, guys, we gotta go. I am so behind on just life. I gotta go
I
to the
know.
bank because I gotta pay
Ew.
rent. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got bills to pay. I got a mouse to feed. So
Yeah.
there's a lot going on. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you next week. Thank you for hanging out for the credit cookie. The credit cookie only lives
Thank
on
you for the super
YouTube.
chats, guys.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Thank you for the super chats. You guys are crazy, and I love you for it.
We're
We
gonna
will
make a
make good
movie
use.
together,
We
guys.
are. We are. We're gonna do it. All right, guys. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.